Welcome to the How to Heart Show, helping men reconnect to the heart and empower others as the leaders they were born to be. I'm Vincent Haasboom. The world needs the raw and authentic men right now. Join us if you're ready to make a change. Hey, what's up, Lions? And welcome to another How to Heart Show. I'm super excited to have this amazing guest, Jacqueline Young, and she helps. Let me check my notes. She's a MindShift coach and an expert in helping high achiever and level entrepreneurs, or what can I say? Leaders, leaders, entrepreneurs and leaders. So the way we got connected, she contacted me that she wanted to have a meeting with me. We had such an amazing conversation and it really clicked. And I was so hooked on her story and what she got to tell me. So I said, Jackie, I really want to have you on the show. And I'm really honored to have her here today. So, Jackie, thank you so much for being on the show.
I'm delighted to be here. I couldn't agree more. The last conversation we had was really dynamic and we really clicked, and I'm looking forward to speaking with your audience for sure. I think it's important to hear from both men and women, especially in the work that you're trying to do. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, well, you made the invitation for me, so I'm really thank you so much for being here. So, guys, you also know that in my throat I had a bit of hay fever, so I will let Jackie do more of the talking because if I put too much stress on my throat, I cannot talk. But I'm really excited about this episode because perfectionism. I struggled with that my entire life. I struggled with perfectionism in all areas of my life. It was driving a car, I had the speed limit like perfectly. I didn't go up or under. My books, it needs to be perfect. The line now it's crooked, but it doesn't matter. But I needed to put everything straight, just the way I did in life. And I just got nuts because also with this podcast, when I started with this podcast, I wanted to have my videos perfect, my post perfect, everything perfect. And I just broke down and I said to myself, I just need to stop doing this, being this perfect guy, because I try to be somebody that I'm not. And I try to put on this mask of perfectionism and show the world that how perfect I can be. Just I don't have any conflicts, problems with people, and I just please people. And it just burned me up. So this is a topic that's really close to my heart, and Jack is a real expert about this. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic more. But before we go into this, Jackie, can you tell us in a nutshell who you are and what you do?
I sure can, absolutely. My past career was as an educator. And so I went all the way through from teacher to vice principal to superintendent, and in Ontario, Canada, to the director, which meant that I was in charge of a school board. So I have worked throughout leadership, and I have liked the idea of definitely working with men and women and leaving leaders behind me. That's always been very, very important to me. And also really watching how people struggle and what they struggle with, and then how I am able to support. But since then, and since COVID, I have become a master certified teacher of hypnosis. So I can actually teach you how to be a hypnotist. And now I have clients all around the world who are looking for either relief from something that is really, really troubling them, mostly belief systems, or I also work with as a coach for entrepreneurs and leaders who are looking to understand how their own mindset is really crippling them. And what you've just said about perfectionism is one of those mindsets that literally just cripples our ability to be our very best self, ironically.
Thank you for sharing. So, what made you decide that you want to go in the high class? So, entrepreneurs, leadership, and why didn't you like just start like me, just helping men and women, or
Well,
like that?
I did actually. It's very, very funny because I'm actually, I will coach almost anyone who kind of gets in contact with me. But I do realize as a leader who was working with leaders, it was very important to me to understand healthy organizations and to really get into what it means to have a healthy organization. You have to start at the top. If the person at the top is a narcissist, then that just spreads like wildfire through an organization. Everybody just keeps their head down. They don't want to get it shot off, as someone said to me about an organization I worked with. And it just really kind of dissipates throughout the entire organization so that you have everyone not performing at their best. What I would like to see instead is people recognizing what it means to be human and make mistakes, allowing mistakes, recognizing that it's an opportunity for growth, and that we all can kind of really just put all of our worst stuff on the table and figure it all out together. So the idea of being a perfectionist is really something that I struggled with also. I think we all do if we're looking to kind of move forward in any way, shape, or form. And then you do realize that, like you're not taking chances. You're afraid of making mistakes or afraid of getting caught out on mistakes. And that simply makes for an organization that truly can't grow. So it's one of the reasons I think that I thought, okay, well, let me target where the most amount of growth can actually happen in an organization. But to answer your question fulsomely, I work with anybody who's looking to kind of change their mindset, really.
And that's really needed, changing your mindset, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We all have scripts that we were growing up with, like anything that our elders said to us. It could be something as ridiculous as, in this house, we believe this about money. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about politics. And then you go out in the world, and there's lots of people that do talk about money and politics. And you think, well, how is this? Like they're all so rude, or they don't know the rules. Or you learn about your birth order and how you were spoken to in the family. So if you were the black sheep, then that was part of what you learned about yourself. Or if you were told that you were an overachiever and you were always so perfect, then that's what you grew up believing about your position in the family. So we all have these ideas and beliefs about how we fit into our society. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I was so drawn to the work that you're trying to do. I think for men right now, it can be really, really challenging to figure out, well, if I'm not supposed to be this, I'm not supposed to be this, then who am I supposed to be? How do I fit anymore? And if I can offer any clarity to your audience about that, then I am more than thrilled to be here. Because the more that we can understand our own desire to be authentic, then the more we can lead a life that is going to be more joyful. And God knows we need that right now.
100%. And what I want to touch on is really the perfectionism. I felt when I was in this perfection mode, life was so difficult. And I realized it's also the mindset that I created for myself, especially when I was really this nice guy. I tried to people please everybody. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
everything right so I don't get any trouble. And that made me realize that when I start on my healing journey, I figured it's a trauma. It's a trauma response that I do all this stuff. Is that correct? That is really the perfectionism come out of a trauma?
Yeah, it definitely can. Excuse me. I don't know where that came from. It definitely can. We all have some level of trauma in our lives, and it can be big T trauma or it can simply be small t trauma, but it really helps develop us into, as I said, the way that we think that we should be behaving in the world. What I'll say about what you just offered is that when you are a people pleaser or an overachiever or a perfectionist, you are being hyper vigilant all the time. So you're always scanning the environment, trying to figure out, well, should I talk now or should I wait? I don't want to upset people, but like you're spending so much time trying to figure out how to be the role of perfectionist or people pleaser, or how just to make sure that you're managing yourself appropriately. with the audience that's in front of you right now, as you're trying to make sure that you're not upsetting anybody or you're saying just the right things, you lose the ability to really figure out who you are and who you want to be in that moment. And for me, the work right now is for people to recognize they don't necessarily need to be apologetic about wanting to be authentic. And what that means is taking the time to figure out, well, what do you want? Aside from what your parents said you should want, aside from all of the rules and regulations or rules that you felt that you grew up with, what is it that you really want? And that's a question that I think can really throw some people off a little bit because they haven't given it the thoughtfulness that it requires. One of the things that I do with my clients is almost enforce that they spend at least 10 minutes in silence a day. First and foremost, you go into a beautiful state of tranquility when you do that. So, no radio, no podcast, no nothing. Just sit and let your mind wander. So, it's not meditation. It's literally just sitting in silence, even if you start for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. But that allows your mind to literally just kind of wander through its own thoughts. And the work that I do is very focused on understanding the power of your unconscious mind. When you relax, you dip into a different brainwave state. And that's when you can get more curious with yourself. That's when you can start asking questions that aren't fearful questions. That's when answers could kind of spark to you or just kind of rise up to you because you're actually dipping into a different brainwave pattern. And that's where I do all of my work in hypnosis. That's where I do my work. It's called theta brainwave state. But when you just relax and sit in silence and then just pay attention to where your mind takes you, it's extraordinarily powerful to find out about yourself.
Thank you for sharing. What's really interesting is the hypnosis because I wanted to do an hypnosis session in Amsterdam, but for some reason I didn't, or I decided to do something else. But can you share with us more what the hypnosis is and the power of it?
Oh, absolutely. I could fill this whole hour and a half by talking about hypnosis. So it will either be a
Okay.
good thing or you'll wish you never asked me. So one of the things that as I said, people will come to me when they recognize that they are feeling stuck or that they have a belief that doesn't serve them, or maybe there was trauma and they know that the trauma is playing itself out in how they're interacting with the world right now. The work that I do allows for them to go into a beautiful trance like state. And in that state, you're very safe. And in that safe place, we're able to kind of really digest what was the occurring situation whereby everything started for you. So I can give you an easy example. If you love to go hiking and your dad says, let's go for a beautiful hike, it's a wonderful day outside. And then you come in, and all the time that you've been gone, your mom has cleaned the whole house. In fact, the kitchen floor is now sparkling. And you step in with your muddy boots on the kitchen floor, and your mom turns around and says, what are you thinking? Get out of the kitchen. I just spent 3 hours cleaning the whole house. How could you be so thoughtless? Because you feel attacked, your unconscious mind wants to do something like with that. So it goes right into fight or flight and it scans the area to figure out what just went wrong so that you went into fight or flight. And it could do a couple of things. It could mean that walking into the kitchen after that episode would feel really yucky, or it could mean that the relationship with your mother would suffer even though she apologized right after. But in our make believe story, let's say that the unconscious mind says, oh my gosh, it must be because we went for a hike. And so after that point, you don't want to go hiking anymore, but you don't even know why. So 2 weeks later, your dad says, let's go for a hike. And you get all excited. And then all of a sudden, you're just flooded with a feeling that says, no, danger. This is an alert. You don't want to go for a hike. So you turn to your dad and say, no, I don't want to go for a hike. And they come back, your parents come back a couple of weeks later. Let's go for a hike. It's a beautiful day. And you say no. You don't even know why you're saying no. It's just literally a flooding of emotion that says to your body, there's something about hiking that's not safe. And that all happened in a nanosecond when your mother said, get out of the kitchen, you're wrecking my job, all that stuff. Even though the mom apologizes and says, oh my God, I just lost it. I'm sorry. A trauma is literally when you feel one way about something, something happens. In this case, mom yelled at you, and now you feel a different way about the same thing. Now, in a little 4-year-old brain, that makes perfect sense. But now you're 30 and you still don't like hiking. In fact, you can't even remember loving hiking. It's not even part of your story. That story that I just told indicates how quickly something that is benign can change your life. All of a sudden, you're not active anymore, or you don't want to go hiking. You're 30 years old, and for 26 years, you haven't enjoyed going for a hike. In fact, you now identify as someone who does not like hiking. But when we meet in hypnosis, we go right back to that very first time something happened. And we simply explain to that little one who kind of took on that job, oh, danger, she can't go hiking anymore. And we say, wait a minute, that made sense then. But actually, right now, that way of thinking is harming the adult you, the 30-year-old who now wants to get active and go hiking. And so we clean up anything in that memory, and then you're able to move on with your life. So in hypnosis, it's not about erasing the memory. It's about understanding all of the emotions and the feelings and the behaviors that came out of that first experience. And then we look at, well, what do you want to experience now? It can be about forgiving shame or guilt or fear, because when you're 7 and you have no power, then all of a sudden you go back as a 30-year-old and you're able to stand up for yourself. You're able to say all the things that you couldn't say when you were 5 or 7 years old and someone was attacking you or doing something. So it's a beautiful way of understanding someone's past, the trauma, the traumatic experience itself, and then how you can rise through the trauma so that it no longer pulls you down in your life, and you can then move forward in a way that feels much more powerful, much more full of sovereignty, much more full of claiming your power and your voice again. And for me, that work is, transformative in terms of what people are able to move through. So I do work a lot with trauma victims, an awful lot with trauma victims. And again, like, what I want for your audience to understand is it's different than talk therapy, because we're able to do an awful lot of work where you're very safe in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is where all of your feelings and your emotions are. That's where your trauma is held tight. And what most people don't realize is that when you think about your mind, not your brain, but your mind, 90% of your mind is your unconscious mind. Only 10% is your conscious mind. That's your logic, that's your willpower, and that's your analysis. So anytime you try to think your way through something, you get stuck, because you've only got like 10% of your mind able to work on, being able to move through it. And your creativity and your sense of wonder is really living beautifully in your unconscious mind. And it's one of the reasons why, if I can use a really easy example for people to understand this, you can have a
Sure.
conversation with a friend and you can't remember a particular incident or a person's name, for instance, and you keep racking your brain and thinking, oh, it's just right there, I can't think of it. And you try to grind through to get to an answer. But later on that night, when you're brushing your teeth, or you're in the shower and you're washing your hair, or the next day when you're out gardening, because you've allowed your mind to relax and go into a really relaxed state, like an alpha state, that's when your mind just starts to open up. Your unconscious mind opens up a little bit more and you have more access to it. And all of a sudden, the name just pops into your mind. So that's why you have really great ideas just before you go to bed, sometimes when you wake up, when you're brushing your teeth, whenever you're doing something routine that allows your mind to wander because you don't have to think about the action. If you're rock climbing, I don't know that that happens because you're pretty focused on what you're doing. But when you get into a state of flow, like where things really just feel like they're effortless, that's when you can really tap into your creativity. So it's understanding how brainwave patterns work and understanding the power of your unconscious mind and what can be released and manifested through the resources that you don't even know that you have. They're all in your unconscious mind.
Jackie, thank you so much for sharing. And what really came to mind was when I was listening to your story, a lot of things came to me. The first thing was how crazy the trauma response is, because it's just a small little thing for a child, and it's made so big, and you will carry it for as long as you don't do anything about it. That was always, it always baffled me how something so intense can change your life forever. Also, what I heard was really, it takes a long time for you to, or really fast for you to go into that fear mode, like, oh, now I'm doing something wrong, and we take it really personally, instead of just when the, even though the mother says I'm sorry, still we register that pain moment and we hold it on for our entire life. Not like, oh, the mind understands it wasn't, not personal, oh, so I can forget it. It's like, no, it's danger, it's fear, I need to keep it because it keeps me safe. And also the trauma response of the flight, fight, and flee response. I was always in this fight, not really the fight, but in being stuck. So I couldn't move. But I had a lot with the fleeing. So when I had a uncomfortable situation, I had to talk with somebody, or I was in a fight, I was always avoiding. I was always looking for ways to avoid this conversation. I would postpone it for days, even weeks. I will look for ways for me to
Yes.
not do it. I just tell myself excuses. Maybe I just let it go, or maybe do something else. And it was always eating me up, eating myself up. But what I really wanted to ask you is, the behavior, why we do it, it's also, it's in the body, right? It's not just in the mind. It's always, because I've learned on my own journey, I tried many things. I did cold exposure, I did acupuncture, I did energy healing, you name it, but it never helped me to release the trauma out of my body. EMDR helped me a lot. So why do you think we cannot always solve it with the mind, so the unconscious mind, but we also have to heal the body?
Yeah, you raise a really good question. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my own experience. There's two stories
Okay.
here. Number one, I was raised with an alcoholic father. And I say that now with great compassion to who my dad was. I come from a long line of alcoholics, actually. My own addiction is a different one. Um, but he was trying to take care of his own way of moving through his world with trauma in drinking. But what I learned is to fawn and to make myself very, very small. So if something was happening, then I didn't want to be in the same room. I didn't want to be around where anything could explode. So I was over hyper vigilant, and I was always waiting for the next shoe to drop, or I was always looking for something that was said that might not come true. So we'll go so and so tomorrow, and then of course we don't go tomorrow. So those kinds of broken promises or understandings that don't come to fruition. And then you learn that your unconscious mind has just really one job, and that is to protect you. And that's why, as soon as your amygdala is hijacked, as soon as you go into fight or flight, it learns protective mechanisms that then become part of how you interact with the rest of the world. What you just described, all of your own, fleeing experiences, you learned, sorry, the dog in the background. You learned that that was a way to keep yourself safe when you were very, very small. The same way that I learned fawning or fleeing or just kind of making myself very, very small would make sure that I was not going to be kind of brought into something. And I brought that as a particular mechanism into my marriage, which wasn't good at all. At work, I could be very openly able to have confrontational conversations, and I didn't get scared from them. But with my husband, I really wanted to do everything but get confrontational. And that was why I brought in that particular response into my marriage. And then when things started getting really awful at work, and I had to start protecting myself because I went through a situation where it was not good. I didn't feel safe. Then I went right back to, okay, I've got to figure out what to do to kind of keep everybody safe or everybody happy. And I didn't have any responses that were okay. But what happened is I started getting vertigo. I put on like 50 pounds. I had migraines through the roof. Your body cannot sustain a lie. There's going to be some form of leakage when you are not cohesive with your mind and your body, and dare I say, your spirit. That's one of the reasons I actually pulled together a course for men and one for women called the Mind, Body, and Spirit Coherence Program, because you need to really understand how everything needs to be coherent to be able to move and interact authentically in your world. So you bring up a really good point. If there's trauma and you keep kind of pushing it down and pushing it down, then you're living a lie. You're living a sort of lie because you're not being open and honest with yourself. There's always going to be some way that either your mind or your body or your spirit engages in some form of we can't hold this tight anymore. We've tried to protect you as much as we can, and there's leakage. So for me, it was overeating sugar and vertigo that came out of nowhere, and all of these migraines. For other people, it can be a chronic illness. For other people, it can be pain that is due to something that they can't foresee. Sometimes the pain or the chronic condition can be quite focused to what it is that doesn't feel right. So people could have things happen with their thyroid or their throat if they can't speak their truth. Some people will have issues with their heart or, kind of around what's going on there if they don't feel like they can breathe into their truth or be authentic about what they need to present through their actual feelings. I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, but I want for people to recognize that there is a need to really understand how the mind and the body and the spirit need to work together. And that's why I focus on a lot of that work. And the reason that I keep men and women's groups separate, and I think we touched on this in our last conversation, is because our experiences growing up are so completely different. The voice in a man's head that tells him he's no good is like a drill sergeant. The voice in the woman's head is like a parent who says, kind of like really just negative and puts you down. So it's different than a drill sergeant, but it's still negative. It's like, well, you can't ever do anything right. And then that becomes, I can't do anything right. I'm always going to be a failure. So the tonality of the voice inside your head is very, very different, as well as the messages that we get from society are completely different about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. So when we kind of look at all of what's happening there with the mind and the body, and then all of these societal pressures, and then what you've been told you're supposed to act like within your home, there's no reason why we all bring trauma into our young adulthood and then like into our 40s, 50s, 60s. And that's when the leakage, especially when you have families of your own, can really start to play out. So when you're triggered, your kid does something, your wife or your husband says something, your partner is acting in a way that, it just irritates you and you can't even figure out why. It's a trigger that takes you right back to when you first had a traumatic experience when you were young. And you will have a traumatic experience when you don't feel safe, when you don't feel seen, when you don't feel loved, when you don't feel heard, even if it is only for a couple of moments. So then you compound that with someone who had an abusive childhood or an experience of significant abuse. And then you wonder why, these people are having a challenging time moving through feeling safe in their own body. So it's very important to me that we understand the connection between the mind and the body and the need for everything to be in alignment, and B, to recognize that almost everybody needs some kind of help in this regard. There's no one that gets through childhood unscathed. Everyone has a story to tell. And therefore, everyone is going to be living some level of trauma. Even when people say, oh, my childhood was really good. I know that I've traumatized my kids. We've had conversations about certain things that I said or did. And I'm like, oh my God, like I couldn't possibly have understood that that was going to have a long-term reaction on them. But being able to talk it through has done remarkable things for both of us, all of us. So yeah, no one gets out without a story, that's for sure. And so I think that's important also. I don't want people to feel like, well, I have to hide this away because, it's not a big story or it's way too big of a story to share. Everybody's got a story. And what we want, or what I'm looking for, is for people to feel safe in their own skin and for people to feel safe with their own thoughts.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was really powerful. I was listening so closely, and what popped out was safety, because I remember when I did on my journey, I never felt safe with it within my skin or when I was
Yeah.
in situations. So I had to learn to feel safe. So how important is it for men to learn to be safe with themselves and in the world that they live in?
It's absolutely necessary. And I think coming full circle again, I know I keep repeating things, but there's a reason for that. When you are allowed to feel vulnerable, like this is what's really interesting. So men will think, I can't be vulnerable because then I'm not going to be safe. And they don't understand that it's through the vulnerability that you learn how to be safe with your own thoughts and with your own feelings. When you put up all those barriers that you think are going to keep you safe, they deny who you really are meant to be. And again, I'll use the same phrase. You start to cripple yourself. You start to cripple your ability to love beautifully. You start to cripple your relationships because you want to not get hurt. So you put up all of your barriers first and foremost. And then you're keeping people at a distance. So you're never really living the fulsome life that you can lead, which is full of joy and full of enthusiasm and wonder. And then, when you have kids, you're able to kind of see the world through their eyes with all of their wonder and joy, as opposed to, they're driving me crazy. I can't deal with what this right now. Instead, like when you're more comfortable in your own skin and you're really compassionate with yourself, which is important, then you bring that fulsomeness to every relationship. Then people start feeling safe with you. So as soon as you feel safe in your own body, your own authenticity, your own ability to be vulnerable, which simply means holding space for yourself and being compassionate for your story. That's all that it means to be vulnerable. It doesn't mean that you're less of a man or you're more of a man. It simply means, okay, I have a story and I need to understand what my story is all about and whether it's helping me or whether it's hurting me right now. Like, how do I understand my history? How do I understand my story? Once you can become really serene with that, then you start to interact with other people in a much more fulsome way. People are drawn to that energy. It's very, very powerful. There's something about being around someone who is comfortable in their own skin that is very much of a draw because people want to figure out, well, how did you figure this out? It's at an energetic level, but I know in saying that to your audience, they're all going to think of a couple of people. Oh, yeah, that's what so and so's like, or my mom's always been able to do that, or that's the magic that my cousin is able to have whenever he goes out. So it's very interesting when we when we recognize that there are people that have kind of figured this out, it's not that they're living charmed lives, is that life becomes more charmed because of the energy that they work with everybody through it. So it's interesting. A lot of these people we will be called lucky, or aren't they so lucky they've got everything? No, they don't. They've just figured out a way to understand their own energetic ways of moving, and then releasing boundaries that keep people at bay. And that's very, very attractive.
Yeah, and what I can share about my own journey in feeling safe, I remember when I was working with somebody, she was an energy healer and she lured me to keep myself safe. But I tried to learn how can I do that. So for me, my steps were going to the gym. Not going to the gym because I want to build muscle so I can have this wall. It's not because of that, but I want to go to the gym just to feel like comfortable with myself, but also have the confidence because I was
Strong.
lacking it so much. Just no confidence because everybody told me you're not good enough, or I had a learning disability, so they say you're not good enough. It was always this programming and conditioning from other people that I was believing them, not myself, but them, that I'm not good enough. So I had to work on my confidence. Doing this podcast is also keeping me in the safety, like, okay, people also can attack me or people can say good things, so I had to be grounded. I have to ground myself. I have to be steady. I know that they can say something like that, but I know my value. I know my worth. It's also really important. Also, to feeling safe, setting boundaries. If you don't have any boundaries, people will
Yeah.
walk over you, so you will feel less or you don't feel good enough. So setting boundaries is also safety because you know, like, okay, if they're gonna go too far or they cross the boundary, it's like, hey, I will cross the line here and not further. So there's all these kinds of things that you have to learn yourself, and a lot of unlearning of the program and conditioning by society and what other people are telling you or told you. So you have to let it go and really start to build from within. And what you perfectly said, from loving yourself, feel the empowerment, and do what's important for you, not what other people say. I usually say that in most of my episodes, like, follow your heart, follow your desire, follow your dreams, not what mom or dad wants from you. Because mom and dad has their own dreams that they push on you because they never achieved it. So they try to, if they wanted
Mm.
to be a doctor but they never succeeded, they try to push it on you so they can see, well, he makes my dream reality. So that's not fair. That's really selfish because they only think about themselves and not about your desires, your dreams, your heart desire. It's not to put your mom and dad in a bad position, but it's a trauma response. It's something that they wish you to do. So it's you living their dream, not your dream. So that's so important to really follow your power within. You will know what you love. You will know what you want to do. And when we come back to conditioning society, it's the same. Well, I need to have this steady job because I cannot make money because I'm an artist. So I will make this little money and I will never get enough money to pay my house or whatever. You don't know. You never tried. There's a lot of ways that you can make money just with other things than just writing or painting. We are so closed off with the mindset, right? We're so closed off that our possibilities are just closed. We're not thinking outside of the box, right?
Yeah, one of the things that I want to bring attention to is you always know when you are living a lie at some level, because you're riding a state of either anxiety or resentment or anger, or a feeling that you might be comfortable with, but you realize it doesn't really serve you. Like, we actually can get very comfortable with our dysfunction. We can get comfortable because we live, for 30 years with a particular feeling. It doesn't mean it's good for you. And when you realize that it's costing you either disease or chronic pain or thoughts that are really challenging, like if people are getting quite lonely or anxious or procrastinating or depressed, there's things about all of those feelings that need to be paid attention to, because it means that there is a real discontent on some level. So we all can, go through periods where we're unhappy, our spouse ticks us off or says something or whatever. There's interactions that are always going to challenge us. But how we move in a chronic way is the best way for us to figure out whether we need to do some work or whether we're truly okay. But if you are angry all the time, if you are close to rage all the time, if you resent your spouse or your partner, if you are always in the depths of despair, then there's work to do. You're not meant to live a life with that level of hijack of your own safety. And that's really what all of those responses are. When you feel safe in your body, when you feel safe with your own thoughts, that's when you can extend that same safety to other people. Because at the end of the day, you're okay. It doesn't matter what anyone else is going to throw at you. You're going to be able to handle it because you've done your work and you've taken care of yourself. And again, I want to come back full circle. I work with people that have been in some of the worst trauma that you can possibly imagine. There is a way to find your divinity. There is a way to find your true north, and what you really want to be able to do when you are working in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind holds all your secrets. It knows everything about you, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. It wants to protect you, but it also wants to make you live a life that is full of fulfillment. And so that's why the work as a hypnotist is so incredibly powerful. And it doesn't take years and years of therapy because we're doing the cleanup of the work or the memory of or the abuse where the work needs to be done, which is in the unconscious mind where we hold everything. And again, when I say, if you can shut everything down and literally just sit for 3 minutes, start with 3 minutes, and then just get comfortable with yourself in the silence, that's really a powerful start. When your thoughts come up, it's important to pay attention to them in a very curious way, as if you were a friend, not as if you're yourself, because we're hardest on ourselves. So if you start thinking about something, then you would say, oh, isn't that curious? I wonder why my mind took me there. I wonder if I'm supposed to pay attention to that. What I can tell you is that when I was a principal, I had a dog and we would go out walking every night at midnight because it was quiet and it was peaceful and it was beautiful. And what I didn't realize until I started doing this work is that every single night I fixed all the issues of the day through walking the dog because it was just me and Madison, and it was either beautiful in the summer or beautiful in the winter. And my mind would literally just wander, and I was able to solve every single issue as a principal of a school of 1,000 kids. It was a lot of issues. And so it was easy to kind of say, oh, that's why that happened. I was able to kind of wrap things up with a bow and okay, now I figured that one out. Now who else I need to figure out something. Oh yeah, that issue came up today. And because my mind is literally relaxed, I'm able to figure it out a lot easier. So take that time. If I'm going to ask your audience to do anything, it would be literally set your phone for 3 minutes, just sit, no noise, no podcast, no music, no even relaxing music in the background yet. And just see where your thoughts take you because they will present you with things that need your attention. Could be small or it could be big. But whatever kind of bubbles up for you when you're really relaxed, and start with, a couple of really big, deep breaths, like get rid of all the air and then take in some nice breaths. But what you need to do is just pay attention to what comes up in your head. And then just get curious about it. Oh, isn't that interesting? I wonder what I need to do about that. It's very, very powerful and it's very simple. People are always asking me, well, what do I need to do? As if it's, something mammoth. This is something that you can do that's really relatively easy and just be curious about it. And if you don't like the idea of sitting in silence and letting your thoughts wander because it scares you, then for sure, reach out to someone. Reach out to someone who's going to be able to help you through that in a safe, supportive manner, because that is absolutely a sign that you probably want to do some exploration of why that is.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing the powerful tool. Yeah, sitting in silence is really, really powerful. And we are being so, we're so busy. The mind doesn't always, or the mind usually never gets any rest. Only when we sleep, but when we sleep, it's still on. It's just processing and everything. So when
Yeah.
we're on our phone, it's just scrolling and putting a lot of fear and anxiety because we want to compare to other people's lives and we want to be like this. And we don't give ourselves any time to rest anymore. So thank you so much for sharing this amazing, powerful tool. I have two powerful questions, and the first thing is it's really that I really want to ask you from the beginning, and that's the monkey mind, because I talk with about this with my friend a lot, and what I recognize when I see somebody that I'm attracted to, the monkey mind takes over. Like, no, 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 she probably has a boyfriend. No, 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 she's too busy. No, 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 and then there's a lot of fear and anxiety and I just don't do it, and then I walk away and then it's like, why didn't I just go to her and just have a conversation? And my friend is the same. He sees somebody and then he always goes in the mind and he just listens to it. It's like, oh, I just want to keep me safe, so it's the best way to do it. And then he goes away and then he's just beating himself up why he didn't do it. So I see a lot of
Yeah.
men looking for dating coaches because they want to get better with women, but I feel like they haven't solved their trauma. So that's first thing. But the monkey mind, I think we're listening too much to the monkey mind, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting how much energy we can spend catastrophizing what we think could happen. And what we never do is, well, what's the worst that could actually happen? Like she'll say, "Oh, thanks, you just made my day, but I have a boyfriend." Everybody wins there. Like you've made her day, you just got a nice little letdown. And whenever we have that monkey mind kind of talk, we know that it's deadening our ability to really do what we want to do. And so I always look for easy ways to kind of intercept and to kind of cut through. And so the easiest way to deal with that monkey mind that gets going in terms of you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, look at all the things that could go wrong, is really, well, what is the worst that could go wrong? Like literally in that moment, if you go up to someone and say, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'd love to ask you out for a coffee. Would you like to sit down with me? What's the worst that can happen? She turns to you and says, no, not, I can't right now, or I'm busy, or I have a boyfriend. Or if you're polite, you're courteous, same thing, and you are honest and authentic, there's not a lot of women who are not going to think that that's really wonderful. We tend to want to layer our issues and then we push them on to everybody else. And it cripples us. It cripples our ability to do anything. But because we're so comfortable with that, because that script has become part of our first interactions about how we think about things, what we need to do again is just say, wow, that's really interesting that I've got this monkey mind and it's saying this, and this. I need to stop that. I need to be, curious about that. Why is it that my mind goes there? Why am I allowing it to take me there? And then here's the bigger question. What's the worst that can happen if I actually act in this way? Because the catastrophizing takes so much energy and it really plays into all of our fears and our shame in a way that does not serve anything. Certainly doesn't serve the woman or the man that you might be interested in. And it doesn't serve you because then you're left with regret and sometimes resentment towards yourself or towards sometimes other people. Then you've affected the rest of your day. Whereas if you actually, I'm just taking this example that you used, if in real time you simply say, hey, would you like to sit down and join me for a coffee? Nothing is wasted there. Like literally a 20-second um, interval, and you have your answer, as opposed to all of the catastrophizing, which is always going to be much worse than actually what could possibly happen.
But
Literally, what
Jackie,
can happen? What's, yep.
I agree, but is it not something that is also intertwined with trauma, or that we gonna hook with somebody up and we invest too much time, too much energy, and we break up, and it's like, why am I wasting so much time with this girl, or why am I putting so much time in her? So it's better to avoid. So I know I won't get hurt, I won't get any pain, I won't get any sadness. So why do you think we when we, for example, in my case, if I see somebody, I can keep my mind still, but the feeling comes up. It's like, oh. But in my mind, then my mind goes on. It's like, oh yeah, but I don't know what to tell her, or do I say something wrong? Or for me, it's always I cannot handle this situation. It can be too much. Or if she has this stare and she's waiting for me to respond, it's like I just don't know what to say, and I feel like there's maybe some shame or embarrassing. So I think for me is I'm not safe. I'm not safe with women yet. So I
Yeah.
just look for ways. What I do is I give compliments so I don't have to ask her out. And it's so frustrating. I just want to ask her out or have a coffee with her, but in response, I say, "Hey, you're cute," and then I just walk away when I just want to have a conversation with her. But sometimes it just baffles me. Like, what is it? Is it really a trauma? Is it still that I don't feel safe? If I maybe I'm not committed to a relationship? What do you think is really the case here?
Oh, I think it could be a number of things. Number one, if you don't feel safe, then your fear can really hijack everything. Your response is going to be dependent on everything that you've learned about yourself to keep yourself safe. And so if you learn I shouldn't put myself out there because I don't know how it's going to go, then your belief in your own ability is in question. And that's where we would do our work. Where did that come from? And it could again come
Yeah.
back to your mom saying, "Oh, for God's sake, you can't do anything right." I'm sorry, I should never blame moms. Or your dad saying, "You can't do anything right. Just let me do it for you." And you learn that, "Oh, I guess I'm inept. I guess I don't have the
Mm.
confidence to do anything." And then you learn this learned helplessness and et cetera, et cetera. So to come back to, what can you do in the instance? I once came across a story where a dating coach was working in this exact scenario, and she said to her client, "You need to, in the next week, ask out 100 women. That is your homework." And of course, it was like, "I can't possibly, that's crazy." And she said, "No, here's the script. You're going to go every time you go to a coffee shop or every time you interact in your day, you're going to literally notice someone, give them a compliment, and then say, 'Would you like to either sit down for a coffee, or I'm looking to meet other women, I'm new to town,' or whatever it is. Be honest and just see. After the first two rejections, you recognize that you're not going to die over the rejection. And that's key because we really, our feeling of fear is so big that we literally feel like we can't breathe. We feel like we're going to die on the other side of it. The fear becomes so mammoth and so overwhelming. And so when I say you need to just kind of come up with a different script, what's the worst that can happen? Script, what's the worst that can happen? She'll say no. Okay, well, then what? Yeah, then what? Then you move on with your day. You've got an answer, but you've put yourself out there and you've tried to move through the risk. Once you've done it once, it's like skiing or learning any new skill. Once you've done it once, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. I mean, I read a statistic the other day that men between the ages of 21 and 40, since the pandemic, have never asked a woman out in person because everything has become electronic and swiping and everything is being done this way. So if you're one of the only guys that's out there that's actually talking to women, how refreshing is that for everybody? It is a skill set. Like, I don't want to take this away and say it's easy, you just got to do this. It's one of the hardest things we can learn how to do when we have a habit or a way of thinking that we know doesn't serve us, that we know we're not happy with, but we have to kind of move through the fear. And that's why I always want to say to people, "Well, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to die. You're not going to die, but it feels like you are." The worst that's going to happen is she's going to say no. I have to have this confrontational argument with my mom. What's the worst that's going to happen? She's going to yell at me. Okay. She might not talk to me after that. Okay, maybe that's a good thing. We really have to kind of
Mhm.
figure out the fear and how powerful we make the fear, how much power we give the fear versus what's the worst that's going to happen. You simply then you move through the rest of your day, and because it's a habit, a habitual way of thinking, we need to kind of cut through that either in the unconscious mind with the work that I do, or consciously, if you're, listening to this and you're a young man out there, just give it a shot. Literally, my question to you is, what do you have to lose? Nothing. Nothing.
No, you will only win, if I can say it like that. You always, it's not just if
Yeah.
she says yes or no, but it's an experience, because what always stuck with me, it was, now I don't know. Now I don't know what she could have
Yes.
said to me. Maybe she could said yes or no, but now I don't know because I flee or I just moved away or I just avoided. And that was more painful than she said no, because I don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited, or I'm really grateful that we had this conversation so I can have this, I can go
Mhm.
back to this. But what's true is, in the beginning it's scary. In the beginning it's a lot. It's oof, it's so intense. But it's the mindset and the things that we're telling ourselves. But what I've seen with
Yeah.
myself when I go out and I train myself, I will get more fun with it, and it's like, it isn't so bad. Even though if she walks away or she
Yeah.
said no, I go to somebody else. But I feel like I have to train my mind and also my body that it's safe. Like, hey, I can do this. I can do this. I can talk with somebody. So I think that's also what you mentioned, the skill set. What I've noticed was I wanted to from 0 to 100. So I want to say hi and have a date, but it doesn't work like that. I need to build a skill set.
Yeah, and the other thing that I work with my clients, especially my coaching clients on, is to have a repertoire of scripts in your at your ready. So if you know that you're working with a bully at work and they say something that's mean and it's expected because they always do, that's the person that you turn to and you say, "What did you just say to me? Did you want to rethink that?" Like you need to just have a couple of lines in your repertoire that are ready to go that you've practiced. The same thing if you are thinking about, okay, well, what could I say to a woman? Oh, okay, I could say, "Oh, I love your outfit. Like, are you going somewhere?" Like, I don't know what you'd say. "I love your outfit today. Do you come to this coffee shop often? Um, I'm new to town and I'd love to sit down and just kind of make a new friend. Are you available to sit down with me and have a coffee?" Things that are safe for the woman or a partner and safe that you feel, yeah, that feels like something I could actually say. I don't want to give you a script that you say, no, that doesn't feel authentic. I would never say that. So you practice a couple of things that you would be able to say nice and easy because you're practicing them. Once you're in the situation, you think, oh, I've got that line. I can use that now. That'll be perfect. So it is creating a new skill set. The same thing as, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, the thing that I want to mention also, when you have lines in the mind, only use it temporarily. So don't, because I've been in the pickup industry, I had a lot of lines, I had a lot of scripts that I was learning. And I remember once I did that, I was only talking from a script. I wasn't my authentic self. And I saw
Yeah.
her seeing that. And I wasn't myself because I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not. And she will know. Women are really intuitive, so she will recognize you. She can see your body language. So if you have all these lines, these pickup lines, she will see right away if you use them or not, if you're from the pickup industry. So I've been there. Be authentic. And what I want to say here, and is what I've seen with myself, let go of the outcome, because I was so focused on the
Yeah.
outcome for getting something out of it, getting her number, getting on a date, sleep with her. I was so focused on that I wasn't even focused on her. I was only focused on my own needs and not what I can do and create with her. So don't focus only on the outcome. It will destroy you, because you will go in the mind more, you will get uncomfortable, you get more anxiety, and you won't enjoy it because you're stuck. So that's what I've learned with women. And thank you so much for sharing. Also, I will remind myself and say, okay, I'm just going to ask her out and see what's going to happen. If she says yes or no, it's fine. But then I know the worst feeling that you can
Yeah.
get is not knowing, really. I've been through so much of that. And it's like, no, but it's been really powerful in this part about that, the monkey mind. But what really came to me, the second question was the lie, because you said we're living a lie. Why do you think we're living the lie and we want to hold on to the lie? Is it again being safe, comfortable?
Yeah, the lie is comfortable. But yeah, yeah. What we know, even though it's like, even though you know that your situation is dysfunctional, it's not working for you, it's comfortable. You know exactly, like A is going to lead to B is going to lead to C. I can ask you the question, why would you never ask a girl out and then be left with feeling bereft and think, oh, for God's sake, I did it again? It's because you're comfortable with that. You know it doesn't
Mhm,
serve you. You know you're going to be unhappy at the end of it, but you're comfortable with that sense of where how things are going to go, and it's within your control. Whenever
mhm,
you're going to do something that's different, like you step off onto a different path, you don't know what you're going to find. And for a lot of people, the safety of the dysfunction is more comfortable than the discomfort of, I just don't know what's going to happen over here, and I can't bear that. I don't. I'm so fearful of what that's going to be. And I mean, the reason of using the word fear is because that is how it feels for people. We have created our own prisms so much, prisons, with our thoughts, with our uh, behaviors, with our inability to work in a way that we want to, what that we hoped that we could work. And because it's comfortable, we've, just become, we know where our walls are in our prisons. So if someone were to open the door, you kind of think, I don't know what's out there. Like me taking those first two steps, somebody could shoot me. I don't know if that's safe or not. It's easier for me just to stay here because even though I'm unhappy, I feel safer. So the safety component and the fear component, that's where you need to do the work. And I say that not in a frivolous way. That's where we all need to do our work. We all hold ourselves back in one way or another, but we have to figure out, why the heck do I continue to do this if I'm unhappy or I'm lonely or I'm anxious or I'm procrastinating or I continue to eat too much or I'm watching porn all day. If you're engaged in behaviors that you don't like or that make you even more unhappy, that's your signal. You got to do something. You got to break it. The only person that's going to be able to take that first step, which is the hardest, is you. So, I mean, I just want to come back to something else that you said, and I don't want to lose this
mhm.
thread. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. You don't want scripts of pickup lines. And I got to talk to you about you being in the pickup business. I think that's interesting.
yeah, we can do
But
that.
it's more about, you want something that's going to break the ice. That's all you need, is something that's going to break the ice and get you saying something out of your own mouth. Then you're right. Like once she turns to you, all of a sudden you're now engaging with a real person. So be that person. Your women will always be able to tell if you're trying to pick them up. And I mean, it could be fun banter for a while, but God, nobody wants that for a long time. Like it's, nobody gets anything authentic out of that. And what people are looking for now is authenticity. Even if I know you've got this horrible habit, at least I know it's yours. And then I get to decide what we do about it, or together we get to decide what we do about my bad habit, equally bad. So that's an authentic adult way of handling things. A lot of the ways that people are handling things right now, I'm seeing they're kind of like high schooly. They're kind of like very immature. And what you want to do is be able to have adult interactions. To do that, you have to adult up. You've got to really figure out, what it means to be an adult and listen and be caring and be yourself in a very authentic way. That means that you have dealt with what your insecurities are, or what your fears are, or what you're feeling shame about, or guilt about, or resentment about, or regret about. Those are all really powerful emotions, but if they're ruling you, then you're not going to be living a life that is really satisfying at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it really comes back to the trauma response because we want to try or we put on this mask and we want to be perfect. For example, I see a girl that I'm attracted to. I want to be showing her that I'm this perfect man. I have no flaws, I have no issues, and but it's so stupid because she also has trauma. She has insecurities. She has women wear makeup because they're insecure. It's not like she's not
Yeah.
even pretty, yes or no. It's an insecurity that most women have. That's why they do it. So they're lying to themselves because I see so many women without makeup and they're so attracted. They look so good, and yet then they put on makeup. It's like, why? Why are you doing this? So don't think if you have this perfect line or this perfect attitude, it doesn't matter. We all have our flaws.
Yeah.
We all have our insecurities. Same for me. I'm so insecure with women. I know, but I'm working on it. I have to overcome those fears. I have to take those small steps. But the perfectionism and being somebody that you're not is not going to help you. You have to let go and say, this is me. This is who you're going to deal with. And it's up to you if you want to spend time with me or go on a date. But I'm not going to change for you. And I see so many people
Yeah.
changing themselves or be somebody that they're not. And it's hard. It's so hard to live like that, to be somebody that you're not, right?
That's that living a lie. Like, that's when things really start to get destroyed in your mind, your body, your spirit. 100%. Yeah. And you raise a really good point. I mean, like I said, no one gets out without a story. So she's going to have her own front. She's going to have her own mechanisms of defense. And, we all have this bullshit in our lives. Everyone does. And but you're never going to match someone or meet someone if you don't at least take kind of the first couple of steps to figure out, okay, well, maybe there could be something here. Like, I'm just drawn to this person, either their energy or whatever. And again, like, it's one of the reasons why I came up with the Mind, Body, and Spirit course for men, because I wanted to offer a safe place where men could allow themselves to be vulnerable together. These are really important conversations that you're leading, that men need to really figure out, okay, well, is there a men's group that I can join, that where we can kind of talk about things in a safe way? Maybe it's your guy friends, maybe it's not. Like, I don't really know, but you want to be able to figure out where you feel safe, where you can kind of explore, where you can talk about what's important to you or what is causing you concern. So, yeah, letting down your guard with a group of people is really, really important to find where that safety net is for you. And if you're gaming your way through your life, if that's how you are connecting with people, it's fine to some degree, but that's not going to bring you the fulfillment that you're actually looking for, which is in real human connections.
Yeah, and this is so important that you mentioned that real human connections because we're now all what I've seen also, I've done it many times, was behind my telephone scrolling. I'm not on dating apps because I don't like dating apps because it takes away the magic that you have an interaction with somebody on the street or in a bar or in a club or anywhere you have. But I when I did on the dating apps, like, oh, I don't like her. Oh, she has a weird smile. No, she has a weird dog. No. And I was like, why the hell am I doing this? This is not even real. And that's what this system is trying to do. They want to remove the connection because when we are connected, we are powerful. When we are connected, I can create businesses. I can have amazing guests on the show. When you are connected, a lot of cool things can happen in your life, but you cannot be this lone wolf and say, well, I can do everything by myself and I don't need anybody. It doesn't work like that. We are
Yeah.
human beings and we are thriving by connection and social interactions with people. But my point is, we are so disconnected. We are so disconnected from ourselves because we're on the phone, because the phone is safe. If I don't like somebody, I'm just scrolling through his what Facebook, and I laugh at his photos instead of going up to him. It's like, hey, I don't like your photos. We're so afraid of confronting people or just stand our ground or speak up. That's what I really see nowadays, that we're so afraid to speak our mind, to speak up
Yeah.
what we truly stand for, because it's fear of people talk back, or fear that people are gonna hurt us, or fear that people gonna do something, or they're gonna beat us up, or they're gonna gossip behind their back. So we just keep ourselves small, comfortable, then we have no problems. But deep inside, we're just eating ourselves up because we want to do more. And that's why I started with this podcast. I want to see men thrive because I've been there. I've keeping myself small. I've been addicted to pornography. I know what it's like to live there, and there's no fun. You're not gonna achieve anything when you're just gaming your life away or dating your life away on a dating app. You're not gonna build real authentic experiences and magic if you're just comfortable in your couch and hope that everything is going to change, because I see so many complaining about their lives, but they don't take any action. Is that right, Jackie? We need to take action if we want to make a change.
Yeah. I mean, you just nailed everything for men and for women. You need to take action if you're going to, if you're looking for a change. You cannot continue to be engaged in the exact same behaviors and expect a change is going to magically appear to you. You are your own change agent, and you have to have that sense of agency to be able to move and say, okay, I'm not satisfied here. I feel like there has to be more. It's not going to drop in your lap. You have to put yourself out there, and you have to figure out exactly what's my first next step. And then after that, what's my next first step? That's the only way you can do it. If you think, oh my gosh, in a year from now, I want this, this, and this. Well, what's your first step to get there? It's not going to be sitting behind the computer. I guarantee that's not going to be the first step. It's going to be actually getting out. It's going to be actually saying something to someone. And I want to just say, women are also looking for these connections 100%. There aren't a lot of people that are happy with how things have kind of dissolved into online dating per se. If you're able to, if someone were to come up to almost anyone and say, like, to give a compliment and then say, would you like to sit down with a coffee? There's very few people, unless her own story is like really, really awful, that aren't going to say, oh my gosh, that's so lovely of an invitation. I just can't. Or, oh, I'd love to. Or I'm married. Or, whatever. But again, at least you know. And what does it cost you to make someone's day? One of the things that I started doing about 5 years ago when I started getting into this work, two things. When I thought about a person during the day, whoever it was, however long it has been since I connected with them, I would send them a text. And I would simply say, you crossed my mind today. Hope everything is going well. Do you know how lovely that is to get from someone you haven't heard from for 3 years or something? It's wonderful. I know that on the other end, someone's saying, "Oh my gosh, Jackie just thought of me. That's so cool." I'm not expecting them to get back in contact with me. I'm not expecting we're going to go out for dinner. Literally, I'm letting someone know you and our relationship was so important to me at some point in my life that you crossed my mind today. Boom, send a text. It's done. It's really lovely to get that. The other thing is when I see someone and I have a thought, I say it to them. And often it's to other women. Oh my God, your legs look beautiful in that skirt. Like whatever it is. And obviously, I'm not freaky or scary about it, but it's just so lovely to and freeing for me to make that now part of what I do. I love that hat. Where did you get it? You look beautiful in that color red. It really suits your complexion. Whatever it is. It's not to make someone's day. Like I'm not out there kind of scanning and saying, who can I bring joy to? But it's so lovely to be the purveyor of something like that and know that it is going to bring someone joy. Like it really does. And then there's a lightness to interactions. Again, it doesn't feel like death to open my mouth and say something to someone. It's just something that is easy to do.
Yeah, and you don't know, it's
These are
not
all
just
new
making,
habits.
yeah. And
Sorry,
and
go
it's
ahead.
not just,
We've got a bit of a
yeah, and it's,
delay, so
yeah, oh, okay, yeah. But what I want to add is, it's not just making their day, but you can also change their life. Because I had a really good conversation with Gordon D. Melville, and he said there was a story that somebody, he was so depressed, and he said, if nobody said anything to me, not even a compliment or a hi, I'm gonna kill myself. So he said on that day when the
yeah,
last ride on the bus, somebody came to us like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And he just, oh wow, so there is somebody who cares about me. And that just blew my mind, because i i I want to give more joy, because everybody's here is like, oh, my life sucks, and there's a lot of hate and fear. So I decided I want to give compliments to people, and you can see, boom, right away they shift. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, thank you. Because also when you're in the grocery store or when you're at the cash register, they only hear the same, or people don't say anything. So when you say to them like, "Hey, you look really nice," you see them blossom up. Like, finally, I've been seen. Finally, somebody noticed my glasses or how I look or I did my hair, and that's so powerful. He said that's the ripple effect that can carry on for years, because they
yeah,
remember, even though you've seen not seen you for years, they will see you again. They see you and they smile. They know exactly. That's how powerful the connection, and just saying something. When we talk, the lingo is so powerful, but we're using it against us. Like, oh, we're not good enough. Oh, why do I make these stupid decisions? And it's the limiting belief, but we're just damaging ourselves. We need to be kind. We need to be loving.
yeah,
You're spending 24 hours with yourself. So why are we always beating ourselves up when we are really powerful? But it's, again, conditioning, traumas, how we talk to ourselves, how people talk to us. Schools, we need to raise our hand to ask questions. We're not allowed to speak up. All those things. So you have to unlearn all that shit, put it in the trash can, and learn what
yeah,
Jackie really said nicely. You have to learn new skill sets. You have to change your mindset. You have to talk different. We have all these neural links in our pathways, in our minds, in our brain, that we need to change. I've been a porn addict for decades. It's not like I'm gonna be stopped watching porn in a few days. I had to go through this journey. I had to up down roller coaster. But again, I knew I had to do this because I wanted to change. I know how it can be on the other side if I just do the things that's important to me. So I'm really curious, Jackie, how is it for women? Because now we talked a little about men, but how is it really for women to feel like men go up to them and have a conversation, or to just give a compliment? Because I feel like women are now really closing off, because also what you said, the women building walls. So they want to see who the right partner is. But I feel like when somebody gets a compliment, I think you will change something in them.
yeah. It's a really good question. I think that everyone is looking for connection on some level right now. I think the hardest thing for women is if someone comes up to them and says, "Oh, da da da," and a woman says, "No, thank you." And then the guy turns around and says, "Well, thank God someone asked you." Like then they have to turn it around to a power
Mm.
position. And the woman is like, "Wait a minute. I was just sitting here with my friends and you came up and now you've just insulted me out of the blue. Like, what the hell is that?" And the guy has done it because they want to pull back the power that they think that they just released. Or they want to retain that sense of masculinity or power that they think that they just released. Instead of just saying, "Okay, no problem at all. I understand. I just thought I'd like to, make your acquaintance," which is so much more gracious. What I will say is if men are aware of the fact that women are always hyper vigilant about are they safe? Always have to be. That's how we live our lives. Am I safe right now? So if you're coming up to me on a dark street, I would say don't do it. If you're coming up to me beside me in the grocery store and we're both thumping watermelons, then you can have a conversation and say, "I still don't know what I'm doing, like when I thump this. How do you tell if it's fresh or not? Or what am I supposed to do here? Like knock on the end or whatever." And you just start having a regular interaction with another human being. Then the woman feels safe. It feels like, oh, this is just someone who, is curious about this, and they are confident enough to ask me something about this. They may be curious whether it's a pickup or not, but then your next way of demonstrating where you go next with it is what's powerful. If they are open to what you say, then they'll let you know. If they're not open, they'll just say, "Oh, I don't know either. Sorry, I got to go," if they don't feel safe. And again, a lot of women are coming to all of their interactions with men with trauma also. So, what I would say is be gracious, be courteous, recognize that you're not the only one that has trauma or fears, that the woman does also. And then don't feel the need to be a dick if it doesn't go the way you want it to go. You're not going to retain any sense of power by leaving an interaction by insulting someone you just went up to. And it happens a lot. I have a young daughter, and she tells me it happens all the time. Someone will come up, she's with a group of friends, and someone comes up and says something smarmy or like not nice. And then they say, you know what, we're just with our friends, we're here. Well, like no one's going to ask you guys out anyway. And it's like, hell, like what did we do to deserve that kind of interaction? But if you are gracious and you are polite and you are complimentary and you mean it, so it doesn't feel like a line, it doesn't feel inauthentic, it doesn't feel smarmy, then you will notice that people will be drawn to that energy. I guarantee it. And I don't make a lot of guarantees in life. If you are all of the above that I said, there's very few women who are not going to think, oh, wasn't that a lovely interaction? And you know what? If you want to practice, practice on old ladies. Pra- practice on women like me
Yeah.
that you come up to in the supermarket and say, like you're sitting there in front of all the ketchup and you say, "Oh, I don't know which one I should buy. What do you think?" You're practicing a skill set. Oh, you're not
Yeah.
picking me up. You're not picking me up. But it's a nice way to kind of ease
You don't
into, oh,
know.
this isn't so scary. I didn't die.
Yeah, I agree. I just made a joke, but I think it came to there was a delay. but what
There
I
was a
wanted to
delay.
say is, yeah, it was the delay. But what I wanted to say is, you're so right, and we're just losing this connection, and it's really sad because we're just so comfortable behind our phone, just like, oh, but they don't see the girl maybe passing by, or the dream girl, or the partner just walking past by, and they don't take the chance of talking to her. You feel it right away that you get nervous, you want to meet her, but instead you take the safe road because it's too scary. And it's trauma,
Yeah.
or the mindset, or the things that you tell yourself over and over for years and years, that you've said, you asked a girl out and she said no, so you think now every girl, every woman you meet gonna say no. And even though if she says no, it's okay. It can also be a good thing, because you're not gonna waste your time with her. You're not gonna go into a relationship and it's not gonna work out. So it can also be a benefit. But what like Jackie also explained really nice was, change the mindset, change how you think, change how you say to you things. I will tell you this, Jackie. I've been sick for years, and the reason was I was telling myself poison. I was so sick on days that I was in bed, I was not feeling well. I was constantly sick, but I've learned I was mentally sick because I was poisoning myself with words. It was also other things, trauma, but I changed my lingo from the negative into the positive, and I saw my life change literally. I felt better, people responding to me better. My vibration went up, not because I was always in this low vibration and always complaining and angry. And I saw the change. My vibration got up and people smiling at me and have a nice conversation. So that's really powerful. Not just the trauma and the healing, but also how you talk to yourself, right, Jackie?
Mm. You've nailed something that is absolutely remarkably important. The way that you talk to yourself is the way that you see everything. Every interaction that you have is based on how you speak to yourself and the energy that you choose to live in. And that's either very attractive or not attractive at all. And we know that the low vibrations are anger and resentment. The high vibrations are love and gratitude. And so that openness of being, with an open heart, if you will, an open mind and an open heart, as I said before, that's really attractive. And sometimes people can't even, put their finger on why is it about that guy? And it's not because they're the best looking or she's the best looking. It's because there's a joie de vivre in terms of how they choose to live their life and interact with each other. You can learn that. You can learn how to stop the negative voice in your head. It's part of the work that we do. Like, you have to really catch yourself and say, no, no, I don't do that. Would you talk to your friend like that? Would you turn around and say to your friend, you're being a dick? Like, how could you be so stupid as to think that she would want to go out with you? No. So you have to start talking to yourself as if you're talking to a good friend, which, by the way, you are. Like, you should be your best friend. If you wouldn't say it to a friend, you don't say it to yourself. And starting to stop that is extremely powerful. It is hard work, very hard work, but it is very, very powerful. And then all of a sudden you realize that those scripts that you have that are just like that drill sergeant, or I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, you say, wait a minute, I actually am good enough. I'm stepping into realizing that I am a nice person. I like being kind. I have a great relationship with my dog. Like, I'm really loving and I want to be able to give that love. There is a safety behind the computer. But when you are discontent with your life, when you are lonely, when you're procrastinating, you know that you're not being authentic to who you were meant to be. And I use like that kind of language very carefully and very intentionally, because we are all meant to live a life of graciousness and beauty and purpose. If you don't feel those things, then like look to get help from someone, because there are people that will be able to help you step into that. And I know, like, one of the very first things when people call me is, they always say, "You're gonna make me cluck like a chicken," because they think of hypnosis as me having all the power. And what I want for people to realize is when you start doing the work with your unconscious mind, what you're really doing is releasing the power that you have locked down deep inside you. Once you unlock that, there is nothing you can't do. And it's relatively easy to do. Very powerful, very transforming.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And what I want to go in next is your coaching and your business. Can you share with us what you're doing with your coaching?
With my coaching, it's really focused on all of the limiting beliefs that people bring to the forefront. It's everything that we've really just talked about. But instead of talking about women, it's about talking about what's going on in the business world. And so if you are confrontational or argumentative and you are getting kicked out of jobs, then you better figure out why you keep losing your temper at work. If people don't like working with you better figure that out. If you are procrastinating and you never get anything done and you get let go from jobs, you need to figure these things out. So, my coaching is understanding how you talk about what's holding you back, how it manifests itself. And then we do the work to kind of figure out how you understand your mind, your own mind, and then we move through it. So everything that you and I have talked about is exactly what happens in coaching. It's just the focus of the content can be a little bit different. But however you have trauma, it is definitely infiltrating every aspect of your life. So if you're having a hard time picking up women because you don't know what to say, I can guarantee you at work, you either scurry away from confrontation or you get yourself really angry first and then think that that's the best way to get into it, because you haven't developed the skill set to be able to just have a regular conversation and be comfortable with your own discomfort. This is going to be a hard conversation, but I'm okay with it. Like, I know I have the confidence to have a conversation that could be a little bit disquieting. So the coaching that I do is based on who's coming to me, how they understand their issue, what it is that they want to figure out and move forward through. And then we actually do talk an awful lot about mindset and what needs to transfer and change in that work. So it's very, very similar to what we've just talked about. And again, some of it is group and some of it is individual, depending on what it is that we're working through.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. The question that came up to me, how was your journey from where you started your healing journey and now? How was it for you?
Well, I know that I touched on this before when my own body started, um, I used the word betraying me. So I had been always relatively healthy. I had definitely put on weight as I had gone through different positions, the more sedentary I got. But then when things really started getting not good at my last job, I really started putting on weight. And when I was able to leave that job, I slept for what felt like 6 months. I know that wasn't the case, but I really understood that my body was so dysregulated that I wasn't thinking clearly and my body wasn't working well. So I really dove into and did a ton of research on all of what was happening. So that's how I got into hypnosis, by understanding how the mind works and how the mind and the body need to work together. So definitely, reading things like the Body Never Lies, Gabor Mate's work, and really understanding how trauma affects the body and the mind. We need to deal with these things if we want to live our truest life. When I wasn't doing well or feeling well, I really put a lot of energy into understanding, well, what happened to my sense of resiliency? What happened to my ability to kind of just move through things? What happened with my ability to move on just 4 hours of sleep for 20 years? And so it was those questions that made me do all of my research, which then led me into all of the work that I'm involved in now. Because I don't want people to have to burn out and, go off the cliff if I can help them in their 40s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, as opposed to their 60s, their 70s. And it matters. Like the more that you learn about this stuff, the more control you can have over how everything is working in not just your business life, but your personal life. It all goes together.
And you touched on something really powerful, Jackie, burnout, because I've been close to burnouts. And what I realized was the mask that I had on, people pleasing, trying to work extra hours to do more and just please people and just don't say no and no boundaries. Is that really the case for most people? They reach burnouts because they're not their authentic self. They're afraid to speak, not to say no. They're afraid to set boundaries. They work too much because maybe they have a partner that is abusive, so they make more hours so they don't have to go home, or children that are annoying, so they have a rough day, so they look for ways just not to go home instead of solving the issue. Is it really the case that people are suffering with burnouts?
100% more than ever before. I mean, after COVID, we have, instead of taking the time to figure out new ways of doing things, COVID seemed to kind of just double down on um, doing twice as much work instead of figuring out more creative ways to do certain things. So, what you have said is absolutely necessary for us to pull apart and understand. I'm working more. I'll say one thing, like I'm in my 60s, so I am not quite a boomer, but I'm kind of closer to boomer than almost anything else. And I'll have to say, I'm glad you're laughing with me.
Yeah.
What I'll say is when I
Oh, you look
hear
good. So
people my
you're doing
age,
you're doing good.
good, thanks. When I hear people my age talk about kids nowadays that don't work hard, I think that's bullshit because we were stupid in terms of I did a full day at work and then I took all my work home and then I worked at night after the kids were asleep. I literally was sleeping for 4 hours a night for about 20 years. And I
Wow.
normalized that as if it were an okay way to work. There's nothing about that that makes sense. That is a way to slowly disintegrate your life and who you are meant to be and as a good worker also, or someone who's supposed to enjoy their life. Um, when I now see people shutting their computers at 5 o'clock and walking away with no work, I applaud that so much in terms of understanding health, understanding mental well-being, understanding hobbies and the necessity for having hobbies as a creative outlet, understanding what it means to be present with your family. It's vitally important that we have more balance in our lives. So the burnout that I see is built on a bunch of old tropes and old beliefs that no longer should serve anyone. If you're killing yourself at your job, then something is suffering. And more often than not, it's going to be your health, the way that you're thinking and how your body is going to respond. And you will not be able to sustain it. It's exactly what happened to me when things got really uncomfortable in my last job. It was my doctor who said, "You can't go back and work for these people. You have to leave now." And I said, "Oh, okay, like a couple of weeks." And she said, "No, you're never going back." It was something I'd never considered because it felt like a failure. Like to not follow through was a failure. And to recognize, wait a minute, I'm not the one failing. I'm failing myself here because I'm not actually taking care of myself. I was at a very high point in a career. There's a very few people in my province who were doing the work that I was doing at that height or that level. And so to recognize that there was an unhealthy magnification of how things were supposed to be, and I was simply allowing it to be part of what was my work environment, was very unhealthy. I was lucky to have a doctor who said, "You need to leave. Your body cannot sustain this." And again, coming full circle to the question you asked before, that's why I felt such a need to figure out what the hell happened to me. Like I was able to kind of grind my way through anything. What happened to me? Oh, this is what happened to you. Okay. Now let's see if you can help other people figure it out before they fall apart.
But what you also see, Jackie, is that people are looking for the quick fix. So, okay, I'm burnout. I take a break. I take some pills, and I just keep going again. But that's not the case because you're suppressing the problems, the emotions, the traumas. It's just the quick fix. And we think when we take this pill from this corrupt doctor that only thinks about his wallet and not about taking care of you, he just gives you a pill and you think you're done. But there's something underneath. And what I like about the body is the body will tell you. The body will tell you what's going on with you. If you have a lot of pain on your shoulders, maybe you have so much burden on your neck. If you have problems with your knees and you exercise, it's probably something that you are just fixing something or you're dealing with something. Or if you lower back pain, I learned that is dealing with money. Everything is connected. So if you have
Yes.
fear, pain, it's something that you have to deal with. You cannot just go to the doctor and wait for a subscription and just deal with it. You have to go deep into the layer. That's why there are now so much people that are depressed because they don't know where it is. They don't know where the symptoms are coming from because we are not aware.
Mhm.
We just go on sitting on the couch and watch Netflix and hope the pain goes away. The body will tell you something that you need to look at. And we're just so afraid to look at that pain, look at the shadow side. So we just numb ourselves. We just stimulate ourselves with negative things instead of what can I do? How can I change my mindset? How can I change my lifestyle instead of the quick fix? You can do so much by yourself to have a really powerful body. Instead of watching Netflix, you go to the gym or you go for a walk or you call your best friend or friend like, hey, let's go for a walk or let's go bowling. We're just so comfortable in our homes all day and not listening to our body. And that's what I've learned last couple of years. If I want to take care of myself, I have to do the work, heal myself, take care of myself, but really listen what the body tells me. And we overlook that
Yeah.
so much.
You can either, there's a saying, and I'm sure that you've heard it also, that you can pay me now or you can pay me later, but you're going to pay. And so
Yeah.
you either have to choose that, wait a minute, I have to deal with this now, because the alternative is that my body will fall apart. I need to deal with these thoughts and these behaviors now, because if I think I can last another 20 years at this, I might, but my body will fall apart. I don't want to be hospitalized when I'm in my 60s. I want to be fulsome and have a joyous life when I'm in my 60s. So you can either pay me now and do the work when you think you don't have the time, or you can pay me later. And there will be a payment to extract. There absolutely will be. I saw on either Instagram or Facebook two pictures, and one was a brain that was lit up by watching a sunset, and the other was a brain lit up by, I think it was scrolling. And I mean, of course, the brain lit up by watching a sunset was just all lit up all over the place. And by doing the scrolling that we think, oh, isn't this a nice way for me to relax? You're just getting these little kind of nudges of dopamine hits that truly do nothing for you. One of the things that we do in my course is you need to start understanding where the slow and easy joys are in your life. And I'll give you an easy example. I've got a cat and two cats and a dog. And at night, everybody comes into the bed. People will either like that or think that's disgusting. I don't care. But there was a time when I would be petting them and not be present because I would still be on my damn phone. And I thought, for God's sake, Jackie, put the phone down and connect in this moment. Be present with both of these little loving creatures that are giving everything to you. Give them your full attention and just allow yourself to relax into the feel of the joy and the gratitude, even if it's 3 or 5 minutes. That was something I needed to teach myself. And I'm doing this work. Like, it's interesting. But when you start grabbing the little tiny joys, they all add up. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot more to be filled with gratitude about than not. So then when you're looking or you get all of the headlines about what's going on in the world, you have a reservoir of good stuff that can offset some of the news that comes that feels like it's going to drag you down. You've seen evidence of joy in your life that, have a reservoir of all of this feeling okay about things or feeling really good about things. And that's the way that we're going to be able to all move through this interesting time in our whole universe right now. Because it's very trying, it's very taxing. If you don't take the time to kind of build up a bank of good stuff, then you don't have anything to kind of offset the bad stuff with. That makes sense?
Yeah, for me it was important to be aware because you were just on your phone and
Yeah.
just petting your cat, but you were not even aware. You were just somewhere else. So you can take the small things like petting a cat or go for a walk or have a small piece of chocolate and you just eat it and just swallow and that's it. But really put it in your mouth and close your eyes and just sensations and what you feel, what do you smell, and what's going through your mind. But we're so overstimulated every single day because we're doom scrolling. In the end of the day, you're full of dopamine. So you have nothing to enjoy anymore. That's how this system is built
Yeah.
on because it wants to suck the life out of you. And then in the evening, you have nothing to do. You're just tired. You're just, I have nothing to live for. So what do? Go sitting on your couch, just on your phone or Netflix instead of working on your goals, your dreams, desires, because you already dopamine yourself completely full. So you have nothing to live for. So thank you so much for sharing because this is so important. It all starts with awareness. If you're not aware of your habits, the things that you do, you're not going to move forward because you think that's the way it is. That's how I always live. That's how I always cope with. That's how I always deal with my life. But it's just old habits. It's old traumas that are in the front seat and just taking over your life. And if you start being aware and take these small shifts, these small moments, like if you feel like, oh, Netflix, no, I'm gonna go for a walk. Oh, my phone. Oh, wait, I'm gonna put it down. I'm just gonna sit, like Jackie said, and sit by yourself and just sit in the silence and the feelings and what's going through your mind and what do you experience. And you will learn and your body will adapt. In the beginning, like I said, with the neural pathways, it takes time
Yeah.
because it will crumble, it will break, but then it will build new pathways in the brain. It's really fascinating. And then you will need make new neural pathways and then you will change. But it's not like from 0 to 100 in a couple of days. It takes time and dedication, but it's a choice. Do you really want to change or do you really want to stay in the life that you created for yourself just to be safe, comfortable, and that's it? And then say to yourself, why am I worthless? Why am I here? But it's up to you. You have the responsibility. That's what I've learned. I'm responsible of my own life. I'm responsible of, if I want to change my life, I have to change myself. So Jackie, powerful, powerful conversation. I can talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and I see we're
I
almost
know.
close to 2 hours. You're so fascinating. You have so much knowledge. I love talking to you. You're such a great guest. So because of time
Thank you.
and for time benefits, I'm gonna ask you. I have two questions, but the last one is more personal, and the first one is what men can do. So to close it off slowly, the episode, we've been talking for so many things. We shared so many things. So, what can men do for them to start on their healing journey? What are the steps they can do for them to get aware and say, okay, this is enough. I don't want to live it like this anymore. I need to change or I need to get help.
I think the easiest thing to do right away that is not scary is to sit with your thoughts, literally. It's to turn everything off, to take a big breath in, to exhale really, really hard, get rid of all of the air, and then just sit. Put your phone on for 3 minutes and just see what the thoughts are that come to you. Now, if they're negative, then that's when you want to say, that does not serve me or something, like, I don't like that thought. Just let it go away,
Or let them
but pay
flow.
attention
Just
to it. Yeah.
you don't. Yeah. What
If
I
you
want
get
to add is
filled
you
with
don't have to.
negativity, though,
Yeah. Go ahead.
if all of the voice that you're getting is negative, then that's what you need to pay attention to, because that gives you great insight into, oh shit, I got to do some work with this. Like, that's really going to kill me. And it will kill your body after a while. You can't live there. Um, but if you think, oh, like, I should call my mom. Oh my gosh, I should call my mom. Or, like, I need to be kinder to myself. Well, that's an interesting thought. I need to, just jump in. I like what she said about getting out there and just saying something to some old lady in the grocery store. I'm going to try that tomorrow. Whatever comes into your mind, just pay attention to it and figure out, well, what's my next step with that? Is it a problem solving mechanism? Is it something that's going to help you? But if it's negative, then you have to deal with what that negative aspect of what comes up for you is. But don't be afraid of being in the silence of where your mind takes you. Because you're going to be dipping into your unconscious mind, it's going to give you some stuff that you need to pay attention to, for sure, guaranteed. It will tell you some things that you need to pay attention to, either how to solve a problem, or you've been thinking a lot about this and you need to do something about it, or whatever. Your unconscious mind knows everything that's going on, so you have to be able to allow it to percolate up so that you can pay attention to some of the messages that are coming from that. So that's the one thing for sure. And then I would say, definitely, the next time you go out in public, if you don't want to talk to a young person, a partner, a potential partner, then talk to someone else. Even if it's a guy standing behind you, what you want to do is learn how to open your mouth and say something in public and not feel like you're going to die. So if it's an old couple, then say something, isn't it a lovely day out there today? You just need to learn that you've got some confidence to open your mouth and you're going to be okay. Because then when you can start making easy banter with other people, talking to the girl that's two people away is much easier. So just start small and move forward. But again, recognize if you don't move forward, you're going to be stagnant, and that's not where you want to be in a year.
I agree. And what I wanted to add is what I've experienced with myself with that, with the first one is I get so many ideas if I just sit quiet or I'm just doing something, doing the dishes or something like that. An
Yeah.
idea, something that I need to do. And I write them down. I just not, oh, it's gone. I just, oh, this is important. I write it down. Well, when I drive in the car and it's a bit difficult, but when I have moments to write it down because they are important because it helped me a lot, but also it gave me ideas for the podcast or a business idea or something. I always say, and I truly believe that everything we need is inside of us. So, yeah, you can read a lot of books. Yeah, you can have a lot of coaches. Yeah, you can go in a lot of courses. But in the end, you have to do it. You need to build the skill sets and you have to do it. Courses and coaches, they're awesome, but in the end they will only show you the door and you have to do the work and you need to do the steps if you want to change your life. So that's what I want to add. And the other one was talking to people. Yeah, it's also if you're an introvert, extrovert. I'm an introvert, so it can be challenging sometimes, but it's fun just to have a conversation. And again, what comes up, say it. If you see a girl that says really nice hair and you think it's stupid, just say it because you get this feeling out of nowhere and it's important. Maybe it's the moment that you realize, well, she can be a possible partner, or this can make her day, or this is what she needs to hear right now. You will get this intuitions or feelings or gut feeling will tell you because it's necessary or it's needed. So I always stay true to that. It's life changing. It will open doors for you. So Jackie is totally right about what she said here, and I'm super super grateful for having her on the show. And I have a final question for her. I always ask my guests this question: what is the most challenging thing in your life that you had to overcome, and what was your biggest accomplishment in your life?
Wow. My biggest accomplishment in my life is never being satisfied with where I am now. And so it's not that I have ever wanted to get a big title or be a big personality. It's that I want to continue to learn more and more about myself, about our world, about what's changing in our world. Like that's probably been my biggest accomplishment is that feeling of insatiability about what more is out there. That part I love. So people talk about being a lifelong learner, and that's something that I absolutely love about myself. And the fact that I've been able to turn things into a business is really exciting for me also. My biggest challenge has been to, like everyone, deal with the demons in my past. You know, like it's not hard. Shadow work is really, really frickin' hard work. You have to understand where you have failed yourself, where you have failed, in my situation, my kids in some ways. That's a hard one. Um, and recognize that there's really no one to blame. Like there's no one to blame about this. Once you get past the age of like 18, 19, you're now making decisions that you are responsible for. So understanding that, your parents, unless they were psychopaths or narcissists or sociopaths, probably did the best that they could with all of their trauma. And if they kind of threw it on you, then that's part of what you need to work through also. Blaming them just keeps you stuck. And what you want to be able to do is actually say, no, I am ready enough and I understand that I am deserving enough to heal all the things that need to be addressed so I can actually live the life of purpose that I was meant to. It's hard work. So get a really strong coach and understand how they are going to be able to help you, and do your homework. Like, if you're going to find a hypnotist or a coach, don't just phone one person. I'm available for sure. I'd love for you to get in contact with me. My email is right there. But I want for you to do your homework and make sure that you feel safe with the person. If you don't feel safe, then you need to find someone else, because the work that you're doing is going to be tough and challenging. Make sure that you feel safe. And I think that that's probably the best place to leave this.
Absolutely. I have nothing to add to this. That's really powerful. Jackie, thank you so much for being on the show. I really like your vibe. I knew from the beginning when we connected, this is going to be a really powerful, good episode. And what I really like about you is you're authentic and you want to help people also from the heart. And that's rare, really rare, that men and women like us really want to help people to live from the heart. And you said really powerful things. And also, I think I want to have you back on another time, because I have other questions that I want to ask you. And you're so good at answering, and you're calm. And like I said, I can listen to you for hours. So yeah, it's been really powerful. I've been really grateful for you having here on the show. So thank you so much for being here. Is there something you want to say before we're gonna end the show and everything else?
I think that the work that you're doing is extremely important, and I am really extending myself into men's worlds and understanding what's going on with men right now, because it does feel like we are in a little bit of a situation of juxtaposition that we need to really figure out. And so, what I would say, if any of your people that are listening, your audience, get in contact with me, then any of the services that I offer, I will offer 20% off of the baseline price that I have. And so, please reach out, find a coach, find a hypnotist, find someone who's going to be able to help you. You get a free discovery call with me so we can really understand each other. And as I said, I will honor if you mention that you learned from me about my services through How to Heart, through Vincent's podcast, then I will give you 20% off of the cost of whether it's a coaching package or whether it's the course, whatever it is. So, but please get moving and find someone who feels like they're going to make you feel safe in your skin.
I totally agree, and thank you so much for this generous offer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you sharing this with us,
Pleasure.
and also that you can help men and women thrive and not be stuck in their lives. Because you can, before you know it, you're 19, you're your 20s, your 30s, and then you say, "What the hell did I just do?" It's gone, and you can never get it back. So when you're in your 20s, 30s, do it now. If you're listening to this, if you see an article, do the work. Not like, oh yeah, I'm not have time for this. I'm busy. It's excuses. It's excuses not to face your fears. It's excuses not to make a change because of what happened to you that you don't want to see. And what Jackie said, the shadow the shadow healing is hard. It's really hard, but it will be the best gift that you can give to yourself, healing yourself, and your life will change dramatically. So do the work, take the action, and we will promise you your life will become so much better. And yeah, you have obstacles. Yeah, you have rough moments. You have roller coaster effects, but don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams, and listen to the heart. Jackie, before we're gonna go, again, thank you so much. It's been really powerful. I really enjoyed every second that I've been talking to you, listening to you. Thank you so much. So, how can the listeners follow you and check out your work and even though work with you if they want?
If they want to work with me, they can find out more on Open Minds Hypnosis. That is my website. Vincent's put up my email address there. You can find me at Jacqueline at the mindshiftcoach.ca. And as I said, if you are listening and you found me through this podcast, mention that so you get your 20% off. It's CA because I'm in Canada. Just make sure that you remember that, the MindShift Coach. And if you want me to come out and talk to your place of business, I'm also an internationally renowned speaker. So let me know how I can help you. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, of course. So I can throw all my socials around and you can find me there.
Awesome. Perfect. Jacqueline, thank you so much. It's been again really, really powerful. I'm really grateful for us connecting, having this powerful episode. Hopefully I can swap with you again also, that I can be on your show. You have a really powerful story, and really your work is really, really powerful what you're doing. So thank you so much what you're doing. And yeah, it's been a blast. It's I don't know what to say. It's been really, really good. It's really, really powerful. I've learned so much from you, and also with women and getting out of the head and just do it and see what happens. It will help me a lot. And thank you for reminding me. So thank you so much. It's been powerful, and yeah, it's been really, really great.
Thank you.
So, guys, thank you so much for watching for this episode of the How to Heart Show. If you like the show, like and subscribe to the How to Heart Show. You can do it on Instagram, LinkedIn. You can follow me on all social medias. YouTube, like and subscribe to the show for more amazing interviews, also my solo interviews and the journey that I'm going through that I also post. I'm also working on a course, so it's going to be really powerful. I'm not going to share what it is just yet. You have to wait. When I finished it, I will post on it later as I go. But this is powerful work, and this is so needed. And what Jackie said powerfully was, you have a powerful story to share or to do something about it. Maybe you can write a book, or maybe you can do something about it, because you never know if you can help somebody with it. So don't just think, well, I'm not good enough or my story doesn't matter. Your story can change somebody else's lives, or you can make them think to change their lives. So don't see yourself as, well, I have all these traumas, so I'm nobody, but try to change it in a positive and see what you can do with it. Jackie did it, I'm doing it, other people are doing it. And that's how we heal ourselves and the world, if we are stay connected and do the work together. So that's what I want to say. And also, these things come out of flow. I don't prepare. I don't have everything like, oh, I want to say this, I want to say that. For Jack is the same. We work in flow. Everything that we have to say will come out and what we have to say. And maybe sometimes later on I'll say, oh, I wish I've said this, or I wish I've done this. But right now, this is what we had to say and this is what we had to do. So yeah, Jackie, I'm gonna close it off, or we're gonna be talking here for hours and hours and hours. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. Jackie, thank you so much for being here. And I wish you all the best, and let's talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure and an honor. Thank you, Vincent.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye. Hey, Lions. Thank you for listening. Glad to have you on our journey to the authentic self. Want to learn more to embrace your potential? I invite you to keep listening. Do me a favor and smash the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps the show reach more listeners who need to hear these messages. See you next time.